Carolyn Doobie here. What's the play for today? Well, today I'll be playing on the gel press plate and I'm going to be using a wood graining tool. Now, how do you use one of these things and more importantly, how do you clean it with all those nooks and crannies in there? That's what you're going to see in today's video. Now, the wood graining tool, you can find that at a hardware store or a craft store, and it's usually done in those colors called browns, those wood tones that I'm not, how shall we say, the biggest fan of using in my play. So I've given it a pop art vibe. By changing up the colors, it completely changes what the look is for it. And then at the end of the video, make sure you see what common household item makes cleaning these things and those little grooves in there that catch all the paint an absolute snap. I'm going to start by making a very basic print because what I need is a light color or a different color for the bottom here. So you're going to see how I layer things up. Now the plate that I've got here is not perfectly clean, which probably doesn't shock you one little bit. So as I'm putting this yellow paint on here, that's the fluid Decomedia line, what's going to happen is I'm going to get the yellow, yes, but there's also going to be little bits of whatever the last color was that I used. And, well, you'll be able to see exactly which color that was. Little bits that I didn't see when I looked at the plate, but they'll pop up, show up in my prints, and that's part of the fun of getting those little extra bits. So what I've basically done is made myself a piece of paper in the exact color that I wanted. Now for the next color, I'm going to bring in another one of the Decomedia fluid acrylics, and I'm going to spread it all around. Now the reason why I chose this paint from my stash to use is because of how it reacts to the wood graining tool that we're going to be using. And it allows the paint, it's kind of got a, for lack of a scientific term, is slippery. Because you see those little grooves there in that tool? I'm going to rock this back and forth and it's going to pull up some of the paint. It's a very small rocking motion, and as you're rocking, you kind of just drag your hand along to create the look of wood grain. And you can pick up these kind of tools in hardware stores, craft stores, but the important thing is just to rock it gently or a small amount as you're pulling. If you're using a paint that is really dry, it will not move quite this nicely. So that's why the slipperiness or the slickness of the Decomedia fluid paints works really well for this technique. So I put that yellow paper right on there so that when I lift this up, I'm going to have that blue wood grain right on top of the yellow, so I can have some pop art look to wood grain instead of just that traditional brown kind of thing. And of course, every time you do this, every time you use that tool to drag through the paint, you get a slightly different wood grain pattern to it. Now there is a little bit of paint left on there and I don't want to miss out on that fun. So I just took a blank piece of paper and I'm going to lift that up in the ghost print. So you can see what the wood grain looks like against plain white as opposed to going against a color like I did with the yellow. But how do I clean off this tool? There's paint in those little nooks and crannies. Well, while running it underwater, I take my cleaning toothbrush and I just scrub it in there to get the paint out of it. And I do it while the paint is wet and fresh. Now I have frozen the screen here for some dramatic effect and to get your attention with the common sense safety reminder that once something like a toothbrush has been used on something like paint, it should never again be used as a traditional toothbrush. It should never again go in anybody's mouth. Because really, this is one disgusting looking toothbrush for that. Now what you've seen in this video is one technique, one way to use a gel plate. There are an endless number of possibilities with this. And there are also some fundamental things that work with any and every technique. When you understand the fundamentals of how everything works on the plate, it's much easier to make amazing prints that take your breath away. So how do you figure all that stuff out? Well, you can go through all the trial and error, and if you'd rather skip all that frustration and take the shortcut, check out my Gel Printing Fundamentals workshop. It's full of downloadable videos, lifetime access, and other goodies. You can find all the details over at acolorfuljourney.com. Thanks so much for letting me be a part of your colorful journey.